Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a short video for you, a fun video. So I've been enjoying playing a video game from Azoth Studios called A Plague's Tale. It was released in 2019, and it's set in 14th century in France during the 100 Years' War between England and France. The game takes place during the historical context of the Black Plague, but it embellishes creatively with elements of alchemy and lesser magic. You play as a 15-year-old girl of noble descent. Her name is Amicia, and she is forced to escape her kingdom with her 5-year-old brother Hugo from the Spanish Inquisition. In the game, Hugo is ill, and this is a key element to the plot of the game. Both the characters are very likable and share many tender moments. So since you are playing at a time of great disease, all throughout the game you are escaping the endless swarm of plague-ridden rodents who ferociously attack you and attempt to eat you alive. I'll try not to reveal any content that may be considered spoiler, as I do highly recommend the game. It has really blown me away in terms of dialogue, atmosphere, and character development. And shortly they're going to be releasing a second part to the series. Anyways, one of the characters to the advancement of the gameplay is Hugo's doctor, who has been curiously practicing alchemy in his secret underground laboratory beneath his humble farmstead. The game allows for the discovery of trinkets and elements it calls curiosities. Some curiosities are luxury items from the era, such as powdered cinnamon and spices, a bar of soap, a study guide on bird language interpretation, and a sketchbook of the inner workings of an unfortunate human being. One of the curiosities to be discovered can be found in the alchemist's laboratory, which is a scroll. The scroll is called VITRIOL, and the artwork on it looked very much like an alchemical cipher. I have always found the word vitriol to be a very powerful sounding word, and have used it in conversation several times in my life. I was unaware that this word is in fact an acronym until I found this obscure scroll in a virtual laboratory in a video game. And so I wanted to discuss the meaning of the cipher in an attempt to learn more about it. Vitriol is a Latin acrostic, or acronym, for the 7 words Visita, Interiora, Terrae, Rectificando, Invenies, Occultum, Lapidem, which translates into English, my native tongue, as visit the interior of the earth, and by rectifying what you find there, you will discover the hidden stone. This motto was first published in 1659 in Azoth of the Philosophers by the 15th century German alchemist Basil Valentine. I felt it important to discuss Basil Valentine for a minute before I deep dived into learning more of the meaning of his cipher. I began to read a translation of his work titled The Triumphal Chariot of Antimony and became lost in the depth of his heart. He seemed to be a man who viewed humanity as a complex creation of God burdened by sinful hubris. I should note that Wikipedia states that there is no evidence for his existence. Though he is often credited with many early alchemical texts, his name may be a pseudonym for the authoring of alchemical texts from the 15th century. Whoever he was, Basil Valentine had considerable chemical knowledge. Despite the controversy over the validity of his existence, Wikipedia does credit him with the creation of oil of vitriol, which is sulfuric acid, among other achievements. The word Azoth in the title Azoth of the Philosophers is one of the more arcane names for the beginning towards the one thing. It is a neologism for a universal medicine. The A and the Z in the word relate to the Greek alpha and omega, the beginning and the end of all things. The word is meant to embrace the full meaning of the one thing, which is both the chaotic first matter at the beginning of the work and the perfected stone at its conclusion, the philosopher's stone. Alchemy is the art of transformation. The word literally means the black soil of Egypt, a reference to the black sand of the Nile Delta. It attempts to unveil the universal truths behind growth and the change and encompasses all level of reality. Vitriol is a sulfuric acid or a sulfate used in the alchemical operations of yore. Sulfuric acid is a powerful corrosive that eats away flesh and reacts with all metals except for gold. The word is the origin for the adjective vitriolic, meaning caustic or hostile, referring to speech or criticism. However, in the esoteric sense, it is the acronym for the Latin phrase, "Visit the interior of the earth and rectifying it, you will find the hidden stone." If one takes this advice metaphorically, the meaning conveyed is that one must search within oneself, as the truth is hidden there, and this truth is the real solution to our problems. Philosophy on vitriol is being role-played today in the various passaging rites of Freemasons. Inside the temples of Freemasonry, various passaging rites take place in the form of ritual. Within the chamber of reflection, it is used in the first degree in the ancient and accepted Scottish rite, the French rite, the Brazilian rite, and other rites derived from the ones just mentioned. The word chamber is an archaic term for room, and the word reflection means, according to the Oxford Dictionary of Current English, reflecting or being reflected, reflected light or heat or color or image. In discredit or thing bringing discredit, reconsideration, idea arising in the mind, comment on or upon. Albert Mackay, in his Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, explains that the chamber of reflection is a small room adjoining the lodge in which, preparatory to initiation, the candidate is enclosed for the purpose of indulging in serious meditation. The Cypher from A Plague's Tale calls initiates to reflect on the Azoth and the stone. This small room or chamber, which does not necessarily adjoin the lodge room, is dark, with the walls painted black or imitating a rocky underground cave. The chamber contains the following: a simple rough wooden table on which we find a human skull facing left, 2 crossbones, a chunk of bread, a pitcher with water, a cup with salt, a cup with sulfur, a lighted candle or lantern, an hourglass, some paper, an ink and a pen, a wooden stool, perhaps with one leg to balance, or 3, and painted on the wall you will find a rooster, a sickle, and the acronym for vitriol. Now, I will not dive too deeply into the meaning of these symbols, but I was curious about one, the rooster. I read that this bird is symbolic for Mercury, the deity for Hermes, and the feminine principle for faith. The rooster sings at the light of day, and the word vigilance is commonly written under the drawing of the rooster in the chamber of reflection. The process of navigating through the meditative cipher of vitriol is also called the Emerald Formula. It is the same 7-stepped process derived from the precepts of the Emerald Tablet that became the basis of all the alchemist experiments. So in the cipher you have a central face, the alchemist. Surrounding him you have a colorful 7-pointed star. Each point contains a symbol for a corresponding metal, and together they represent the process for the creation of the Emerald Formula. We begin with the black arm pointing down, where we have calcination, moving clockwise towards dissolution, separation, conjunction, fermentation, distillation, and coagulation. This is a chemical schematic formula as well as a spiritual one. Through this formula, the alchemist has the potential to reach a new physical material, as well as reach a deeper understanding of their personal soul. I will explain briefly what each of the 7-star arms are called and what they represent, but I do recommend further research and meditation to begin to fully understand the Emerald Formula and its implications for spiritual growth. So the first step is calcination. It is representative of sulfuric acid, which the alchemist made from a naturally occurring substance called vitriol. Chemically, the process involves heating a substance in a crucible or over an open flame until it's reduced to ashes. Psychologically, it is the destruction of the ego and our attachments to material possessions. It's a humbling process, and the fire is considered the fire of creation. Dissolution is the second operation, and it is the dissolving of the ashes that were formed in the calcination in the water. Dissolution is represented by iron oxide or rust, which illustrates the potential corrosive powers of the water, even on the hardest metals. When processed, vitriol breaks down into sulfuric acid and iron oxide, which are the 2 first arcana or secret ingredients. Psychologically, this represents a further breakdown of the artificial structures of the psyche by total immersion in the unconscious non-rational, rejected parts of our minds. It is stated that on a planetary level, dissolution is represented as the Great Flood, the cleansing of the earth and all that is inferior. The third step is called separation. It is represented by the compound sodium carbonate. Psychologically, it is the conscious process in which we review formerly hidden material and decide what to discard and what to reintegrate into our newly refined personality. And spiritually, it is letting go that which no longer serves us. The fourth step is called conjunction. Chemically, it is the recombination of the saved elements from separation into a new substance. Chemically, it is represented as potassium nitrate, which the alchemists would call natron or simply salt. Natron would sometimes appear blue and be referred to as aqua fortis. It was made by mixing potassium nitrate with sulfuric acid and was used to separate silver from gold. Mentally, conjunction can be thought of as a psychological process of empowerment of our true selves as a child being born into a new belief system or a new state of consciousness. Fermentation is the fifth operation in the process. It is the evolution of life to produce a higher consciousness. Chemically, it is the growth of a bacteria or an organic substance. In society, we experience the fermentation process through the basis of religion and mystical awareness. The next step is distillation. Chemically, it is the boiling and condensation of the fermented solution to increase its purity. Distillation is the purification of the unborn self, all that we truly are and truly can be. It is the realization of the power of a higher love and of life force, and the entire planet gradually seeks to become one force in nature based on a shared vision of truth. The final stage is called coagulation. It is the meeting point of the soul with the spirit, of life and death, consciousness and unconsciousness. It is here where the physical universe becomes interconnected with the spiritual world. Psychologically, it is our highest aspirations and the highest evolution of our mind. In a sense, it is a return to God, this time on a higher level and in tune with the divine mind. Surrounding the 7 points are fundamental bipolar energies that drive the alchemy of transformation. 1 foot on earth, 1 foot in water. Between them, a cube of matter. Ascending upwards, an enlightened phoenix. To its left, a salamander, the symbol for the soul aflamed. To the right, a spirit bird, attracted to the coolness of the moon. A king and a queen. The left hand holding a flame and the right hand holding a feather. A beast rests beneath the king, waiting to attack him if he grows too arrogant. The chaff of wheat behind the queen symbolizes her connection to fertility and growth. The 7 circles tell the story of a bird in its various phases of life, with the forces of above and below, how they have come together. Now, this is just my own personal interpretation of what this cipher means. Perhaps you can come up with your own meaning. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to read you a quote from Basil Valentine's Triumphal Chariot of Antimony, just to give you insight into who he was and what kind of person he strove to be. On page 42, he writes, "The quality of doctor cannot prepare his own medicines, but must leave that work to another. He does not even know the color of the remedies which he prescribes. He has not the slightest idea whether they are white or black, red or gray, blue or yellow, or whether the medicine is hot, cold, dry, or humid. He only knows one thing, that he has found the name of that medicine in his books, and pluming himself on the antiquity of the hoary knowledge, he claims the right of prior possession. Here again I am tempted to cry, woe upon these foolish doctors, whose consciences are seared with hot iron, who do not care in the least for their patients, and will be called to a terrible account for their criminal folly in the day of judgment. Then they will behold him, whom they have pierced by neglecting their neighbor's welfare, while pocketing his money, and will see at last that they ought to have labored night and day in order to acquire greater skill in the healing of disease. Instead of this, they complacently go on trusting to chance, prescribing the first medicine they happen to find in their books, and leaving the patient and the disease to fight it out as best they can. They do not even trouble to inquire in what way the medicines they prescribe are prepared. Their laboratory, their furnace, their drugs are at the apothecaries, to whom they rarely or never go. They inscribe upon a sheet of paper, under the magic word recipe, the names of certain medicines, whereupon the apothecary's assistant takes his mortar and pounds out of the wretched patient whatever health may still be left in him. He cries, "Change these evil times, O God! Cut down these trees, lest they grow up to the sky. Overthrow these overweening giants, lest they pile mountain upon mountain and attempt to storm heaven. Protect the conscientious few, who quietly strive to discover the mysteries of thy creation." So that about wraps up my presentation. And if you wanted to learn more, I did find that the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum, located in San Jose, California, actually does have an exhibit on right now. It's called the Alchemy Museum at Rosicrucian Park. They boast it's one of the very first alchemy museums in the United States and the largest alchemy museum in the world. And I'm going to be honest, every photo I'm looking at of this museum looks photoshopped. It looks 3D. It doesn't look real. I don't know if it's my eyes or my computer monitor, but it all looks like it's a big 3D animation. Apparently it exists. Check it out. And if you're like me and you're not in the States, you can go to their website and you can view a little video tour. I've attached that as well in this, just to show you what they're discussing, and you can go visit their website and view it in higher quality, and you can zoom in on the artifacts. And I would also recommend this book online. It's called The Emerald Tablet, Alchemy for Personal Transformation. I guess it's a kind of self-help book. I haven't read it. It just has very good reviews. It's written by an author named Dennis William, and apparently he had a lot to do with the exhibit at the Rosicrucian Museum. So it's his interpretation of the cipher that has illustrated and illuminated a lot of how we understand it today. Anyways, guys, that's all for today. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Take care.